Hello and good morning, feeders. Today is December 5th, 2021, and my name is DJ. Joining me today, as always, we have Feeder Finance Patrick. Pat, if you'd like to say hello to our lovely users at home.
Hi guys.
Hey. So, starting with the TLDR as usual, lending. Progressing well and nearing completion, soon to be submitted to PeckShield for further review. The first pieces of social DeFi have been released, with more upgrades soon to come, like a notification system, leaderboards, upvotes, and more. A major upgrade to the portfolio has been delayed due to the BSC node issue, but other improvements are being developed, especially to allow FTM and future additional networks to function while BSC is down. And other minor upgrades, including exchange settings, save, and product description tooltip, and soon a currency toggle. More on that later. So, getting into the meat and potatoes, this week was quite the interesting week for the market and for feeder finance. Market's very, very interesting right now, and accompanying that was an issue from Rabbit. So it seems the Rabbit finance team had gone through an upgrade, and this had caused some funds by smart contract users to not be able to withdraw. Pat, if you'd like to get some more juicy details here for our users back at home about what exactly happened, I think they'd be, they'd love to hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak.
Sure, happy to. And I can't get into the deep technical details of things because that's,
Sure, sure.
Jimmy's expertise. But as far as I understood it, it's basically the upgrade or their platform upgrade basically moved all the smart contracts, their smart contracts into a new contract.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's similar to the way, you had Pancake V1 and then V2. So it's a new contract on their side,
Mm-hmm.
and their users would need to withdraw funds from the prior contract and to put into the new contract. And apparently, when users withdraw on their front end, they're calling a different withdrawal function than the ones used prior. So there's this other function within their first smart contract that this thing is called emergency withdrawal,
Mm-hmm.
which their front end basically changed so that their users can withdraw. But the way smart contracts work on our end and on every other platforms that fault Rabbit is that we've all been calling the function that people have been using, right, which is the normal withdrawal function.
Yep.
And that function doesn't work. And so vaults couldn't withdraw because once you put things into the smart contract, that's code is law,
Right.
so you can't change. And so we went over to Rabbit, told them about the issue, and they got back to us and told us other people have the same issue. And the way they would do it is they would basically one of the change that allowed for them to upgrade was to change the person that's or the wallet that mints their token. And this is the thing that caused that normal withdrawal function to not work. And what they would do is they would change it back for 30 minutes sometime next week, so that everybody that have these issues can withdraw, and then they'll change it back. So they will let us know, probably early next week, so maybe tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I'll follow up with them again to see when that 30-minute window is, and then I'll make another announcement so everybody can withdraw your funds if you have any funds in the vaults targeting Rabbit.
And if they miss the 30-minute window, what exactly will happen? Their funds will be locked?
The way we're thinking about it is we'll probably, within the last 5 minutes or so of that window, we'll probably, assuming so let's say this first. We'll attempt to withdraw funds forcefully through the smart contract through the normal way.
Sure.
So that if anybody missed our funds in that same vault. It's just that we have to basically create another sub vault within the master vault contract so that we move the funds into a safer place. And that's a mechanic that we have in place for emergency issues. So that's what we'll attempt to do in the last couple minutes. The risk is that because there are, I think, close to 10 rabbit vaults, if there is a network delay or whatever, we may or may not complete all 10, because we don't want to front run of the users that are actually attempting to withdraw their own funds. So we'll attempt to do it within the last couple minutes, and we think we can do it in time. But just FYI, try to do it yourself, because don't expect. Well, basically what I'm saying is, if you're available and if you are aware, do it yourself, because that's the safest and the best way to do it.
Sure.
But if anybody did miss it, we are trying to take care of things for you, and so that's the plan.
Well, all right. So moving on from Rabbit, it looks like we've implemented some pieces of social DeFi this week. You can finally see the lovely work of Pandit come to fruition.
Yeah, exactly. So the social DeFi piece is, there's a lot of aspects to it.
Mm-hmm.
What we've launched is the first aspect of things, which is to allow users to review and rate products.
Mm-hmm.
And the mechanic of it is, if you have funds in the vaults, or in that particular vault that you review, the review or the rating will be shown on the front end, and in the invest page or wherever it's shown. And once you withdraw, then your reviews will disappear. But the actual written review at the below the products deposit box, those will stay, and you can reply to those reviews as well. So that's sort of the first MVP release.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with that is, if somebody replies to your comment or review, for instance, and if you don't have notifications, you wouldn't really know. So that's the reason why the notification is coming.
Mm-hmm.
There will also be review upvotes that will come, and that then ties in with the leadership boards, because then the top reviewer would then be ranked in the leadership boards, and will then have some prizes and other things that will encourage the engagement of this social DeFi piece. We'll also have profile pictures for the profile. So now you can sort of set your username. Your wallet wouldn't be disclosed, so you set your alias in this platform, and you'll have the profile picture, which you can use your NFT, obviously, and then we'll have some form of NFT verification. So if you have our PeterJ NFTs by William, then you could then verify that and use that as well. And the last addition is, some people like to do that. I think the whole engagement sometimes revolves around the credibility of the reviewer.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no other way than to show your in quotations credibility by showing your backs, or your whale size backs. So we will add the ability to either hide or show your portfolio size. So if anybody want to flex, feel free to flex once that's on. So that's what we have in our sort of ideas and in our pipelines. But if you do have any other comments or suggestions or any addition you would like to have in the with regards to the social piece or any other pieces, just let us know, and we'll think about that, and if it makes sense, we'll put it up for our pipelines.
Well, it looks like I'll have to go shake down Rascalito for that DJ Feeder J. And
yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So in other news, it looks like the portfolio upgrade has been delayed a bit due to the BSC node issues. Would you like to talk a little bit? I know we've touched on the portfolio upgrade in previous issues, or in previous discussions, but what exactly it entails and what we were working on this week instead.
Yep. What underlying the portfolio upgrade, and the upgrade will basically, in short, allows for users to see their historical portfolio performance
Yep.
and each of the investments' performance over time.
Mm-hmm.
That's on the portfolio page. But underlying that is what Raphael calls the price tool,
Okay.
which is basically an aggregation of price data from tokens to LPs.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we have that price data aggregated, we can then use that to calculate different things. For instance, the historical APYs of a specific token, for instance. So that then feeds into the market data page, which we have in our pipelines or in our roadmap. And that market data page is basically will show all of the tokens that we support. And once you go into that token, you'll see the ranges of APYs that this token offers, because it is a range, because different products offer different strategies for this particular token, and then you'll obviously have ranges and perhaps a median range for that token. And so to get that, we need the price tool that Raphael is building. The problem with the price tool is that there are things we can use to accelerate the process, certain tools that helps with aggregating data. The problem is that when the node sync is having issues, when we're trying to pull the data from these other data tools, you get errors. And if you're a developer, you probably understand. I'm not a developer, but having talked enough with developers, I know that when you see when you experience errors, sometimes it's really hard to tell whether that error is stemming from your code or from something else.
Oh, yeah.
And right, and so when the node is having issues, or is inefficient, or is having trouble syncing, and you're trying to def these things, and everything spits out errors, it's really tough to finish work because you really don't know what's wrong, right? Or if what the issue is, because there are errors, right? And
Right.
So Rafa is trying to build the whole thing sort of himself, because we at this point can't rely on other parties' tools when they can't sync properly. So that's why it's taking forever to do, and it's really hard, really, really hard to do. So in light of that, and especially over the past couple of days, with the market sort of in volatile environments, BSC is even worse. And for a day, I guess, practically nothing worked. So I discussed with Jimmy yesterday about how to again try to reduce the issues for users. And so what we will then be working on instead is to quickly shift some dev time from Raphael to work on splitting the backend between FTM and BSC, so that if BSC is having issues, faults and data that's coming originally from FTM wouldn't have any issues. So if you are a FTM user, you shouldn't be penalized for BSC's problems.
Right.
So we are working on that, and I think Raphael thinks he's going to be done with the back end for that tomorrow, and Jimmy will then need to do some front end edits to split the portfolio sections, or maybe in tabs up for networks, different chains. And it will be the same thing if we add other networks like AVAX or Harmony or wherever we go next. So we'll always split them up in this way. So if anybody has any issues, things will still work for people that are on the networks that are working. What we'll also do, actually, which I think has been a long time request, is to allow the invest page itself to also work as deposit and withdrawal section.
Mm-hmm.
Similarly to how PCS or pretty much every other platform work, I think. wherever you deposit, that's also where you can withdraw, and then you can sort of filter the invest page by your deposited vaults. So if you click a checkbox, then only the vault that you deposited would show up, and then you can go in there and withdraw and check your balance, because then the back end works a little bit differently than in the portfolio. And typically when there are some sync issues with the notes, the invest page usually still work. Some data might not, but it wouldn't affect the whole deposit and withdrawal
experience
functionalities.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's important, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Huge, vitally huge.
Yep.
So it looks like the lending platform is nearing completion and approaching submission towards PeckShield. So how soon can users expect to see that? Probably 2 weeks, I'd imagine, before PeckShield finishes their rounds.
It will be another week to the submission.
Okay.
So we have roughly, next, what we'll be doing next week is to finish the additional piece, which is allowing for collaterals to be vaulted.
Mm-hmm.
Once that's done, then we can put the two pieces together and then run tests again over next week. Then probably by early the week after, we'll submit it to PeckShield, and let's see, hopefully they'll take about 2 weeks to audit. And so while we're in the audit phase, Jimmy will then work on the front end of the lending piece. And while Jimmy is working on the front end, I'll be in touch with influencers and in touch with other projects that may want to get in on our launch event. And I think that's how we're going to market the launch of lending, which is not a countdown like the V2 per se, but there is probably going to be a launch event, and we'll try our best to get influencers on board and get other projects on board. And the way we are thinking about getting them on board is to allow them to access the closed beta front end and back end while in audit, so nobody else can access them. But to convince them to get in on this event, they would need to see or try and see what it really is that we're launching. So that's sort of just between you guys and me how we are thinking about that marketing piece and launch piece for us. And yeah, so that's the idea. I think by the end of December we should be ready for the launch. And the launch event itself will, I think, also depend on our launch event marketing process. Because if let's say if we delay it for a week and we get more people and more projects and more influencers to join in, I think it makes sense for us to delay the launch, because the thing is done by that time. The thing is done. Mm-hmm. It's just about how much reach and hype we can create around the launch of this new product. So
absolutely,
that's the transparent truth we're thinking about.
And then the follow up to that, we also have ad spots coming out this month. Banner ads being placed on DappRadar, I believe. And was there PooCoin ads as well, or was I mistaken with that one?
We have for PooCoin, we have a spot there that's in place.
Beautiful.
I'm not sure if with the market crash, I'm not sure if it fell out of the list again, because it's price dependent as well of the PooCoin. The way that PooCoin thing works is that one of our influencer advisor has staked his LPs for us. It's a PooCoin LP, and you need, I think, at least 35K or something to be on that list. And if the prices fall and you fall below that 35K or whatever that threshold is, then you drop off the list.
Gotcha.
So we dropped off for a while in the last crash, but then we're back. So I haven't checked where we are on that, but for DappRadar, we have basically a sponsored spot. So it's not a banner. It's more like if you search or you go to the ranks or the ranking of that, you have these sponsored spot at the top. So that's where we'll be. And so everybody's trying to look for things to ape into or invest or use to invest, or anybody browsing dApps, they'll then see us pretty much first. And let's see how much conversion we can get there and exposure we can get there. And that's up for a month. And if things work out well, then we'll make it recurring. And I'm pretty hopeful about that because even now, without paying anything, Dabrata is, I think, one of the top 10 referral source for us. So
That's exciting.
if that, yeah, if that gets boosted some more and it works well for us, then we'll make it recurring. We're also thinking about banners on the BSC Explorer, BSC Scan. So working out details with them in terms of timing and pricing. So that's also in the works for marketing. Yeah, so that's the update.
Beautiful. So it looks like the last thing we have, just a couple minor portfolio update things here. The exchange settings save. So your settings will be saved for slippage and for gas price. The product description tooltip, a handy little tool so you don't have to keep clicking into to the products to check their description. That's a beautiful update. A lot of time saved right there, especially with all the node issues. And then the currency toggle. I'm super excited for that one. I think it's vitally important to be able to see it in all these different currencies, almost like Forex trading, if you will.
Yeah, and it's when you're not from the States and you see everything in US dollars, sometimes you can't really wrap your head around it.
Yep.
So, and let me check real quick here what we have. 1 second, where's the link? Oh, here it is. So in the screenshot, I think we only have 4 different currencies, but
5.
What we'll actually add is US dollars, Japanese yen, Australian dollars, euros, British pounds, Turkish lira, Thai baht, Vietnamese dong, Brazilian lira, Chinese yuan, and Malaysian ringgit. So that's a whole bunch of currencies right there. And these are based on the communities that we have, and the top 5 are just major currencies. But if there's any other currencies, that you'd like, I hope we don't have 125 currencies. But if there's any currency that you like, let us know. Because I tried it out, because we've been testing it on the back end. I tried it out, and it's really nice to see your portfolio and everything shown in your currency. It feels familiar, and you wrap your head around things a lot better. So it's really nice.
Oh, absolutely. That might have to turn into a drop-down menu eventually. Jeez, all those options.
Yep, it is. It is a drop-down on the top right sidebar, I think. We still need to work out the UI, but the mechanics work now.
Well, that is amazing. I believe that's all we have for you this week. Pat, is there anything else you can think of before we let our users at home go?
Well, I just, the market is doing pretty horribly, I guess. Part of it is the Omicron. The other part is probably the Fed being hawkish despite inflationary pressure, dropping the transitory wording there on inflation. That's, I think, the key driver. The ETH ETF futures, I think, got dropped as well.
Evergrande's
and China's
exploding.
cracking down. Oh yeah, that one as well. Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of bad news, not only for crypto, but pretty much for everything coming out. So in the end, you invest in what you believe in, right? And you manage your risk, you manage your portfolio, and if you're well diversified enough. I guess it's hard to be diversified in crypto when everything's falling, but that's what systematic risk is by definition. You can't diversify against systematic risk. You just have to take it. And the way to reduce your systematic risk is to have some stable as reserves, because then you reduce your risk exposure just by being in a stable asset, have part of the portfolio in a stable asset, and then you can buy the dip whenever that dip comes, or that your level of convenience or the risk reward makes sense. And so just be aware that things are going on, and crypto is the future still. And I'm still a believer, always will be a believer in crypto, and just select your tokens based on your beliefs, and everything should be working out well. Not financial advice.
Me too, man. Me too. Still a believer.
Yeah.
Always will be.
Yeah.
So yeah, stay stable, guys. Park your stables here at Feeder. Lots of good options here. Lots of good APYs, APRs. And yeah. That's all we have for you this week, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to check us out, Twitter, Discord, Telegram, anywhere else you can find us. Be sure to like, subscribe, all that other fun jazz. But yeah, we'll catch you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.